Welcome to Once Upon a Real Life with Belle. This podcast is proudly supported by our friends at ActiveFlex, the Australian family-owned and manufactured gel designed for long-lasting relief of sore muscles and joints. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a comment so you never miss an episode and can join in the conversation. Today, my guest is Loz Antonenko, the MOJO Mentor, who helps people ditch their bad habits and get their spark back. Refreshingly, she takes a no bullshit approach. In this chat, we talk about what really keeps us stuck, how to stop self-sabotaging, and why true change starts way deeper than a green smoothie or a gym session. Get ready to laugh, reflect, and maybe even call yourself out. This is Getting Unstuck with Loz Antonenko on Once Upon a Real Life with Belle. Welcome.
What an inspiring way to introduce me.
Did you like that
I get
one?
called lots of things, but not some of those things.
Oh, what do you get called?
Oh, I can't repeat.
A cutie pie.
I had a client say, see you next Tuesday the other day. I said, do you know what that means?
Did he?
Well, he needs to see me on Tuesdays normally. I said, mate, you got to be careful you say that too.
Yes. It actually took a long time to understand that one. I didn't know it. And then also goat. We have like a group chat.
Right.
And I didn't know what it was. And like it's a couple of friends. And I'm like, one day to my husband, what's this goat?
Yeah.
And then he just laughed.
Right. I just think of those screaming goats.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they fall over.
I figured we must have been out and had like a funny time and talked about a goat.
Yeah.
And I
was the same. Like I remember having to Google that. I'm going, am I really out of touch with youth these days? Am I out of touch? Am I that old?
Well, for the listeners, it's greatest of all time.
It is. And we won't talk about see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. Think about that one.
Moving on.
Tell me about yourself, Loz. Tell me about you. Like, let's start with when you were little. Who was little Loz?
Little Loz always knew that she would be doing something really random with her life. I think I've been singing and creating skits since I could talk. So, first memories of me are on a balcony of my neighbours who were childless at the time, and they had an organ and they played like Grease on high rotation. And I'm there as like this small girl singing about pussy wagons. I mean, how fucking inappropriate is that? But that was me. And I think I've realised there's been this element of inappropriateness that has sort of been this tapestry throughout my life, whether I've known it or not. But as a kid, always dreamt of doing crazy things like, being an astronaut, as kids do, to being a famous actress, to being a singer, to being a paleontologist. And I got really obsessed with Indiana Jones. I'm like, I'm going to do that. But I think inherently there was this idea in my brain that I was going to do something really extraordinary. And it wasn't even this deliberate thing, but like I just knew that I was different. And being a young girl, I wasn't, I wasn't aware of how different I was. I used to dance and my mum took me to jazz, and so I'd get dressed in, fluoro lycra, as you do, and my hair a little bit too tight. We're like, And things like ADD didn't exist, that language and that vernacular. I mean, it just wasn't part of the conversation we were having.
Oh, I'm recognising you.
Right.
I'm recognising you in me hard.
Feeling seen, right? And so, I think as a girl, grew up being quite creative, and I have this photograph in year 2, and I forgot to tell my parents we had school photos that day, and I'd replaced all my shoelaces in my school shoes with hot pink ones.
Of course you did.
And we had school photo day, and I've rocked up, and I got in trouble by the teacher, but it was too late. So you can actually see me in this cohort of kids wearing bright pink shoelaces. That was the kid I was. But then when I relocated with my family when I was 7 years old, I had to change schools. And from the ages of 7 to 17, I was chronically bullied. So as soon as I changed schools, I was chronically bullied, and it basically beat the personality out of me. I still was quite creative. I did musical theatre and very academically inclined, not because I wanted to be. I was very curious, but I realised...
Was it like one person? Like, who was bullying you?
No, heaps, just girls.
Because what? Because you were pretty? Because you were confident?
No, because I was like weird looking and had weird ideas about life. And I think the demographics of the school that I went to was slightly different to the school I was previously at. And so we had a lot of wealthy families who found somebody like me quite confronting because I just, I said my mind.
And you were different.
Yeah, I started becoming a chronic liar to try and fit in and to try and compensate for the bullying. But, it was really, really challenging for me getting through school because I was bullied so hard that I realized from a young age that, achievement and being smart at things was actually a surefire way to get me some love and attention from my dad. So, I threw myself academically into everything that I possibly could. I would, excel at school. I would excel at sport. Anything I put my hand and mind to, I would do very competently and do, I don't think easily.
Hyper focus.
Yeah,
I will
yeah,
do it.
a lot of hyper focus
Yeah.
and complete fixation on the fact that I think that the need for love and support because I was bullied so hard was so strong that I would do it no matter what the cost. So I was a bit of a crammer, very intelligent, very articulate, but, not very organized in my time, terrible time management and time budgeting skills. But I kind of scraped through. I did very, very well at school. I won awards for everything from literature awards for writing, topping my IT class, got scholarships into uni and into information technology in a minority group, never had a boyfriend, thought I was into girls, wanted to be a boy. That would have been very different in this day and era if I'd expressed that
Yeah.
back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But, went to university on scholarships. But I think I don't really identify back then as the kind of person that had neurodivergence until I was diagnosed formally with ADD, not ADHD, but ADD in 1998. So 1998, before it was cool,
How old were you?
13 years old.
Yeah.
So
That's still interesting and excellent for a girl to be diagnosed at that age.
yeah, but
Was that your parents who sent you, or was that school?
No, so my brother was having learning difficulties. He's 6
Yeah.
years younger than me, and he was having learning difficulties at primary school. So he went through some diagnoses, and then they said it runs in the family. So then my dad was assessed. He was 40, and then he was diagnosed, and then I was having difficulty understanding and grasping concepts. I actually believe it was my teacher at the time,
Mm.
and I had difficulty concentrating and focusing, and so then they diagnosed me with ADD. I wasn't hyperactive, although I do believe I am.
Did they put you on Ritalin?
They put me on dexamphetamine. I actually
Yeah.
stopped growing. It stunted my growth. I'm exactly the same size and height that I was when I was 13 years
Wow.
old. I have clothes from when I was 13 years old, and they're back in fashion now,
Yeah.
which is cool. But, I really do say that my high school was sponsored by dexamphetamine because the rest of my time in high school I was able to focus. I did tremendously well. I could get into most university courses, anything I wanted to. And then my journey started to take a bit of a shift. So I really threw myself. I stopped doing sport. I stopped doing music. I stopped doing theatre.
Because of the Ritalin?
No, just because my focus shifted to academia because
Right.
my father had always instilled in me that, it was really important to get an education. And, my parents put a lot of money and time into me being educated. It was really important to go to university and have something to fall back on. And so because I was so multi-talented and I had skills and I'm not tooting my own horn, it's very frustrating because it wasn't like I was not good at things. I was smart across the board.
Yeah.
And so I felt kind of backed into a corner to have to go to uni and to have to pursue these things in the eyes of my father, to win his trust, to win his love, to win his respect, and get him to tell me he loved me. So, I went to university with no real clear plan except the fact that I was on scholarships. And I
Yeah.
really struggled because I didn't
What did you
actually
choose?
like that. So I went to uni, didn't fit in. Did this IT for about
Did
a
you
year and
find
a
a friend
half.
in high school in the end?
Yeah, I had a bunch of friends.
So
Eventually, they were all like me.
Yeah.
And they came from my primary school to high school. But I had like four. I had like four friends.
Excellent. That's plenty. One is plenty.
Yeah.
4 is amazing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we were all weird. We were all like drama nerds and would eat on our own. We weren't popular.
Yeah.
And
I would
that
have
was
totally
fun.
hung out with you, but you were way too smart for me.
Maybe.
You were
I was just
probably
like
too
weird.
smart.
I was like weird, sarcastic smart too.
Yeah.
So went to university, fell out of love with IT, realized I didn't fit in, changed degrees 5 times. But halfway through my university, I got really sick. So I'd met a guy. He was amazing. He moved into my parents' house very quickly. His name was Brian. I didn't know he would become my husband. But halfway through my university studies, I felt quite ill. I started pooping blood. I thought I had bowel cancer. and I was incredibly stressed. Now, I recognize now that I'd actually been living in a state of chronic stress for decades by this point, but I can only tell
It's
you that on
hindsight.
self-reflection, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Basically, got sick, was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition called ulcerative colitis. They did some genetic tests, told me I had a predisposition to things like multiple sclerosis, lupus, ankylosing spondylitis. I just had this defective gene, and was slapped on the bum, sent home with a bunch of medication, including corticosteroids. I mean, basically dosed up to the eyeballs and all sorts of things. Told to go on a gluten-free diet because it might help my digestive system. And then that was the end of that. So I did that. And I gained 26 and a half kilos in 6 months. Hated myself. Felt like
Did you
shit.
stop bleeding?
I did. So according to the medical system, I was okay and
Okay.
I was better.
Yeah.
But developed depression, anxiety, got diagnosed with more medical acronyms, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, generalized depression and anxiety, more medications to counteract, more medication side effects. And I was just this walking, talking encyclopedia of medical acronyms. I stopped uni. My dad was very disappointed. I put it on hold, got myself better, worked a little bit.
Are you like 20?
Yeah. And then went back to uni, changed universities, the rules on what your grades were worth. So my grades, I was a perfect 7 student, but my grades started declining as I started getting sick. And so there was a couple of subjects where I got 3s, which used to be a pass, but when I changed degrees and I changed universities, they no longer accepted a 3 as a pass. I had to redo heaps of subjects. I ended up leaving uni with an arts degree because it was the only way to consolidate all of the changes in degrees that I'd done. I was really disappointed in myself, but I learn a lot of things and I have really diverse skills.
Across the board.
100%.
Yeah.
So here I am feeling like shit, overweight, hated myself, threw myself back into life. And upon graduation from uni, was basically going through a cadetship program with the ACCC. One of my lecturers had lined me up with a job at the Office for Women Writing Feminist Policy, but I canned both of those and decided to go into business with my dad because I had no confidence to work for anybody because I was so unreliable because my health was still so up and down. So I started a business with my dad in 2007 selling mobility equipment. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like literally ideas person. When I was at high school, I started my first business creating customized tags for people's bags because everyone had the same bag and was taking bags home of other kids. So I was always very
Yeah,
solutions
you were.
orientated,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought, well, why not? I can buy myself a job. I didn't realize how useful my skills were. I could do everything from doing press releases. I had skills in graphic design. I had skills in user experience. I had skills in quality systems, and I actually physically built our computers from scratch. Like I physically built our towers. You know, weird skills,
So
right?
that IT course did come in
Yeah,
handy.
100%. 100%. Had to learn how to run a business, learn about admin, learn about Xero, learn about accounting, learn about sales, did it all on the fly. My dad was ex-military with a technical background, so he would fix all the things. It was things like mobility scooters and wheelchairs and walkers and things to wipe your bum with, things for the kitchen.
Yeah.
He would do all the repairs and I ran the rest of the business. Meanwhile, I got married to Brian. We built our first home and then my life kind of cruised along like that. I was sort of up and down with my health. I was okay for about 8 years. I did struggle with like alcohol and binge eating and other types of things because I had really poor gut issues. But then in 2014, it was the beginning of a whole part of my life that I really couldn't have seen coming, but would completely change the trajectory of my life in ways that was so damaging and harmful and grief stricken and all consuming, where I think a lot of people would have given up, but it actually became the catalyst for me to be here having this conversation with you.
And what is this?
So in 2014, I discovered that my dad was having an affair. My parents were having a lot of issues, and I now only see like the whole time they were married, there was really not a very healthy, it was a very toxic environment. My dad has a lot of issues dealing with things. He has like a lot of narcissistic personality traits and a lot of other dysregulation in his ability to
Hence
control
you
emotions.
wanting to impress him your entire life.
Always. And my life, I was my dad's shadow. I'm the oldest of 3. And, you know, I realized that success equaled love. And that was the formula I had put together in my brain. And my whole life was predicated on this metric of success. When I was with Brian, we had a really nice home, we had great cars. It was all about showing people. Brian came from a Ukrainian and Chinese Malaysian background. They're two cultures where you don't talk about your feelings. So everything was about saving face and, showing up. Even though I physically felt I wasn't like in love with the way that I looked, I didn't have a lot of confidence. I expressed my success through tangible means. But in 2014, my father and I had a physical altercation in our workplace that resulted in him backhanding me across the face. He didn't mean to hit me hard, but there was an intention to hit me and make contact with my face. And he does not realize the damage that caused me, not just physically in my actual jaw, but what that did to me, because it was like everything that I'd stood for, everything I'd engineered my life around, the value system that I had created in my brain, all engineered around his belief systems, had come crashing down. It wasn't the hit in the face, it was what happened after. He blamed me. It was over a bedpan not having a price. And it was like so fucking insane. Like, we're just at work. He was going through some stuff. I knew he was having an affair. And I just was this scapegoat for his emotional outpouring of energy. But then when he blamed me for it, and then he kept harassing me and then just escalating and projecting all of his inadequacies on me, he went to my friends. I had to block him on multiple channels of communication. He went to my husband, started harassing him, trying to get to me. My husband blocked him.
So did you leave the business at that point?
No. My dad actually started making my life a miserable hell. He left. He then tried to send me into bankruptcy. He then tried to hit me up for fraud and criminal charges. It was so horrible. I had a search warrant. It taught me how to put my big girl pants on. I think I might have put them on backwards though, and give myself a wedgie. But, I had to hire my first staff, and like I had to hire people. I brought people into the business, and, you know, he had cut off my access to the bank account, so I couldn't pay bills. My parents were in the middle of divorce. I had to try and move money around. So like I could still pay bills. I could pay myself. That my dad was like concealing money from my mum. It was such a shit show. And I was caught right in the middle. I kept the business afloat through that entire situation. I hired staff. I was incredibly sick. And then 6 months later, my husband committed suicide. And my dad blamed me for it.
You were going through something I cannot even imagine. You've got this love for your father your entire life, this need to get his love and his nurturing and his approval.
Mm-hmm.
Loz, I did not know that. I did not know that you went through that.
It's okay. It hasn't ended yet. It still goes on. It's intense. There was a 6-month period, this trifecta. And I look back at these moments, and I still carry my first husband's last name. That's where Antonenko comes from. It's very important for him to take that name on. And I've remarried, right? When my dad blamed me for my husband's suicide. And so the hard part of all of this is that my dad never meant to hurt me physically. I understand that. Not the way that he did, but the way he behaved and the way he irrationalized everything and he projected. I was forced in no other situation than to take a DVO out on my own father. It took me a month. I deliberated. He has no idea the mental torture I went through because I took that DVO out on him. He never has forgiven me. Now, then he blamed me. Then he blamed me for my husband's death because he believes that because I'd caused Brian to block him, he could have saved him. But that's what narcissists say, right?
Yes.
So when Brian took his own life, I was the only person that really took him seriously. I knew what he was going through. We were in an open marriage by this point. I had started needing changes and space in my life. I had met another guy who I am now married to, and we were in an open relationship. But then Brian's life fell apart. He lost his job. His other girl that he was with split up with him. I was his person. He confided in me. We were best friends. I would spend every day with him working through his challenges. We were going to get back together. I was confused. I loved him so much, but he was really stuck. And he had always threatened to jump off a tall object. And on my
so in a heated moment, he would say that in a heated moment.
I already knew. We had these open discussions in our relationship, right? Like we already knew, like he said, like this is what happens to me when I get really upset. And those things started happening. So I did my best to show up to him. And I wish I'd known now back then. I've done a lot of work around this. But 2 days after my 31st birthday, on a day that I thought my family were coming over to celebrate because my birthday wasn't a Friday and this was on a Sunday, I was preparing a barbecue with my mum and my sister. And then I get a phone call from his mum thinking she's wishing me a happy birthday. She's like, you have to come get me. You have to take me out to the mountain, Brian's. I'm like, well, I don't even fucking know what you're saying. Like, Brian was staying with them at the time. What do you mean? Where is he? Why is he not with you? Oh, his dad decided to take him for a walk and a hike to clear his head. not hearing the thing I said about him jumping off tall objects. He jumped off a sheer cliff face in front of his dad and his sister. And it was a place that we'd hiked at many, many times, and I wasn't able to go back. It was the first time I'd ever experienced death. It's the first dead body I'd ever seen, and a month later, my grandpa died. So, I would do anything to have Brian back here, right? Because he would be very proud of the person I'd become. But it's his choice, and suicide is always someone's choice.
We have no control.
We don't.
have none.
We don't. And I thought and I blamed
Over other
myself,
people.
and I was confused. And then on top of that, I had my dad taking me through this legal process, being really narcissistic and really vindictive. I then had my parents-in-law taking me through a process because they believed that they were entitled to all of the money in his estate because we weren't currently living together, but we were married and we're still in this relationship. It was so confusing. It was such a shit show. I got so fucking sick. I ended up in hospital with multiple urinary tract infections. I lost weight. I couldn't eat. I shed blood.
Stress.
My body just was completely fucked. And this is where I started learning about how to look after myself. And those friends that I met in primary school that took me through to high school, if there was a reason I met them when I was bullied, this was the moment. None of those people are really in my friendship circle anymore, right? They kept me alive for those weeks. They fed me food. They came and checked on me. They literally kept me alive. And I just thought, I just have to focus on one thing, and it was sleep. I just was like, I'm just going to get my sleep. I'm going to make sure I can sleep. And then the next thing was, okay, I was seeing a great psychologist. She said, you need to find something like time will heal these things. And right now I know you can't see this. You need to find something you can do every day that's going to help you find progress. And so I started going to the gym like properly. I was kind of going to the gym before. I kind of was getting fit, but with no real purpose, with no real goal in mind. And I started rocking up to the gym half an hour before closing time on the treadmill, finding a pace, finding a flow, getting in a zone. And then a few weeks into that process, I got introduced to weights by this lovely volunteer who I still see is in his 80s now. I catch up with him for his birthday and Christmas every year. Really changed my life, and he started to teach me how to lift weights. And this kind of became that fork in the road, and this point in which I was able to find this new person and create this new identity and start this new chapter in my life. And so at 8:30 on a weekday, when you're in a gym that closes at 9, half an hour before closing time, the only people in that gym are like male style power people, right? Right? They're grunty, they're sweaty, they're stinky, they're, not my kind of people. And I remember when his name's Pat. When Pat introduced me to weights, he said, he's like, do you want to come down? I want to teach you to lift weights. Brian was amazing. I was great friends with him. He was an amazing young man. Brian was super fit, right? I'm like, I don't want to look like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to look like these guys. And he's like, well, you can't because you're a chick and you would need to take steroids. And so this was my introduction into what fitness and lifting weights can do for a woman, how much it can not change you just physically, but mentally. And these guys in the gym, like I actually started having conversations with them later in the night, and they were talking about things that I'd never spoken to with my friends. I was sarcastic, remember? We're talking about goal setting and personal development and nutrition and manifesting things and podcasts and books and like all of these wild and weird things that are now such a part of my life. But I didn't know about any of these things. And these guys introduced me to these things. And it's interesting because over a period of time, I was getting stronger and I started to notice changes in my body and I started to lose weight and my mental health improved and I started setting goals for myself. And 6 months later, I looked at my body and I was like, wow, like, this is amazing. This is magic.
When you say goals, was it things like a weight goal, a lifting
Strength
goal?
goals. Strength goals. It's like when you get the momentum, you start to realize that the momentum starts to build more momentum, and then you get traction, and then you can start to set different goals and different levels, different devils, right? So then my goals became more aesthetically focused, and I decided that I would do a bodybuilding show because Brian always wanted to do one, but never had the confidence. He never felt big enough, good enough, strong enough. And that was his demise. Comparison robs all joy. Yeah. So I found myself a coach and set my sights on doing a bodybuilding show. But that turned into hyper-fixated, emotionally irrational version of me.
Starvation.
Yeah, well, I ended up doing 13 shows in 14 months. And to put that into perspective, most people do one show every 3 to 4 years. I developed an eating disorder. I was training. Once again, the metric of success came back into my life, but it looked very different. No longer was I addicted to handbags. I was addicted to photo shoots. I was addicted to being incredibly lean. I was addicted to Instagram. I had 100,000 followers. My content got reshared across many, many platforms and networks. Yeah. I was still running this business. I now had staff. I was training 3 hours a day. I was flogging myself. I counted every calorie in, every calorie out. And I was trapped in this vortex of self-destruction.
This podcast is supported by our friends at ActiveFlex, the Australian pain relieving gel designed for long-lasting relief for painful muscles and joints. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. If your symptoms persist, please seek advice from a healthcare professional. You can shop online at Chemist Warehouse or simply search ActiveFlex Gel.
And I don't think I realized at the time, because in that space of competitive aesthetic competitions, whether it's bodybuilding or bikini, everyone else is like you. Everyone else is this weird type of crazy, and everyone else is in a controlled environment for whatever reason it is that's drawn them there. And you don't realize, because you're stuck in this microcosm of fucked upness, that you are so incredibly trapped. And it wasn't.
It's a hole. You were feeling a hole.
100%.
You had a trauma
I had
hole,
shopping addictions.
and you were just
I was literally
throwing
spending
into it.
$1,500 a week on Lorna Jane. You know, I was making amazing money in the business. Everything seemed successful. And I had a photo shoot, and Michael, who is now my husband, it was a photo of me. It was very, very provocative. Like, you can almost see up my vag. I was on a set of stairs in a very small bikini. He's like, "What are you doing this for? Are you making money?" I had sponsors for everything.
Yeah.
Everything in my life was paid for. My food, my hair, my nails, my lashes, my tans, my bikinis, my clothes, my Botox. Like, everyone wanted to be with me and affiliate with me because I looked successful. I was so fucking messed up because I was this productivity machine, right? But I was masking pain and guilt and trauma, and I hadn't processed stuff. And the thing is, when he made that comment, he's like, "What are you doing this for? Like, what are you even getting out of this?" Our relationship was starting to suffer because of my self-obsession and my control. And there were many moments when we were very close to separating and breaking up. But because he meant something to me, I actually listened. And then I had a whole heap of other people in my life who were important saying similar things over a period of time.
Like, could you just stop for a minute?
Yeah, like, what are you doing this for? Like,
Yeah.
if there isn't a reason for this, like, this is really unhealthy. And I remember I actually got really, really unwell. Like, all of my autoimmune diseases started kicking back up in my face. And I was like, right, this is the universe sending something to me. So I stopped and I went cold turkey. I stopped engaging in Instagram. I stopped posting like tits and ass shots of myself. That's literally how I built my content following. And then I thought, I think I'm going to go learn how not to be like this. And it's odd. Like, the last piece of advice I got from my last coach at my last comp, it was the night before show, and I wanted to have a glass of wine because I'd gone without. I was so disciplined. And she goes, "Babe, why don't you think about snorting cocaine? Because there's no calories in that." And I think in that moment, I realized what I was caught in.
Yeah, you're not here for me.
But like, how fucked up the culture was.
Yeah.
And then those conversations from Michael, those conversations from my close friends, it all became this catalyst to go, okay, like, this is fucked. How can I sort this for myself? So I decided to become a personal trainer. I decided to like learn, not because I wanted to train people, but I wanted to study fitness so I could understand that part of my life and understand how to get better at that and understand how to do it in a sustainable way where it wasn't just about looking a certain way and being in pain all the time and suffering and making it hard. Was there a better way? I then realized that personal trainers at the end of that couldn't talk about foods. And then I studied nutrition. I ended up studying life coaching, ADHD, 13 things in 14 months. Just went absolutely gangbusters, learned all of this shit. I did Tony Robbins. I walked on hot coals. I got married to Michael in the middle of Grand Canyon. I started to change my life. I started to call myself Loz. I didn't change.
Were you previously Lauren?
Yes.
To dad, to mum, to
I've always been Lauren.
Business people.
I hated Loz. Fucking hated Loz.
Right.
But it was this line in the sand moment. I'm like, I get to choose who I get to be and show up for now and for myself.
Yeah.
Who is this person? And that then started to build this new identity for myself. And it's funny because the original version of Loz was still quite conservative, still worried about what people thought. I thought I had to show up a certain way in the fitness and health industry. But I wrote a book called The Healthy Habit Handbook. It is a piece of shit. It does not represent me. It cost me a lot of money, and I got taken for a ride with a publisher that was in America. And look, it's a good book.
It is a piece of shit. That's hilarious.
Literally. Like, and I just got, like, I didn't know I was naive. Like, I know so much now. And it just didn't feel authentic. They would not, they actually sanitized my story. They
That's
wouldn't,
exactly what happens.
yeah,
That
they
is
literally wouldn't let
exactly
me
what
talk about
happens.
half the shit that happened that I
Yeah.
just told you.
Yeah.
I just take all that shit out because they're so worried about litigation in America. They're like,
Yeah.
can't talk about that. So the book's very small, but I published this book and it was a big achievement. And it all happened sort of during COVID. But also during that period, I then started getting pain in my hip. And then I was diagnosed with a condition that I'd been staving off for years called ankylosing spondylitis. And that was one of the conditions that I was told that I may develop. Basically,
The predisposition one.
couldn't walk for
Yeah.
10 months of 2020.
Gosh.
Literally had to stop training. Couldn't even do a body weight squat. I was doing 120 kilo deadlifts. I was doing massive 100 kilo squats. I was doing hip thrusts in triple digits. I literally had to stop and start again from nothing. I'd use a wheelie walker and patient lift. I needed help getting out of bed. Thank God I was in the industry. So, like in the mobility equipment industry.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But the lessons I learned through that were like, okay, well, how can I train and manage pain? Because I'm not vaccinated. So I couldn't get into any doctors. Nobody would take me. I couldn't go out anywhere. I had to self-manage. By the time I got into a specialist, I actually managed all my symptoms and I wasn't eligible for medication. I took an integrative medicine route. I learned a lot about the healing power of the body through that experience. So what ended up happening in my life when I started turning, sure,
Are you saying that you could not even see a specialist because you were not vaccinated?
yes,
I never thought of that.
couldn't go to hospital, wasn't allowed near them. I would be dead if I was vaccinated. My doctor, my integrative doctor is like, you would be tempting fate.
Yeah.
Through all of this, by the way, through my journey, while Brian was alive, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. I had a pituitary tumor. Nothing bad, but I had some weird symptoms.
Did they shrink it or is it still there?
Well, I have 2 more now while I'm talking to you. Anyway, this is told you, like, you can't make this shit up. Can't fucking make this shit up. I was sexually assaulted 3 weeks after meeting Brian, by a friend, by a ex-boyfriend's housemate, at Ipswich Cup. And I went back every year and had to learn how to face that through exposure therapy. And so last year I actually went back as a judge for Fashions of the Field. It's really interesting because the perpetrator would always be on stage with me every year and I would face him and he doesn't remember anything.
He doesn't know he did this.
No, because he was drunk. My drink was spiked by someone else anyway. That's a whole other story. That's a whole other chat. And yeah, I think that going through all of that, through my bodybuilding show stuff, I had vein surgery, but before I had that, they checked my heart, found out I had a massive hole in my heart, had to have heart surgery. So I've spent time having to rebuild myself breath
I
by
feel like
breath.
I want to wrap you up in cotton wool.
Oh no, I'm good now. I'm strong as fuck. I'm the strongest person you'll ever meet.
You got the fuck unstuck.
I'm unbreakable and unstoppable. So, 2020 taught me a lot. But that was a year where I really started to pivot the business because in COVID, our business actually thrived because everyone's at home and, they needed more mobility equipment. So my business scaled and doubled and doubled and doubled and doubled. But here I am living this other life, learning about all these things and going, I actually need to do something with
That's
this.
my passion.
Yeah, people ask me, are you coaching people? You've written this book, which I accidentally wrote. And I'm like, no, I'm not. So I started this other business through sort of when I finished my certificate in personal training, I started doing online coaching. I only had one client. But then after COVID, this gym opened up 200 meters from my house. They wanted PTs. I had no intention to PT people personally, but I was like, oh, I'll give this a crack, see what happens. And so I was running these 2 businesses, right? And I could never give enough to the coaching business because I was constantly being pulled back into this mobility business. Yeah. And it's odd because for
Dad was leaving you alone now?
Yeah, my dad and I haven't spoken in a really
he's
long time.
backed off.
My dad doesn't involve himself with anybody. He's completely estranged himself from my entire family. Parents are divorced. But I was stuck at this other crossroads because it's I have this coaching business and this opportunity where I feel like I'm empowering people and I'm helping people be proactive. And I have this mobility business, which actually, if I'm going to be honest, feels quite disempowering. What I learned through that business after 17 years of running it is that our medical system here is really engineered against us. It's very reactive, not proactive. And unfortunately, if you've got somebody that is eating themselves to death, not giving a fuck about their health, who gets a government subsidy to go get a mobility scooter, I'm actually not enabling them to make better changes. I'm actually disabling that person, even though it's that choice for that person. And if I don't sell them a mobility scooter, which my livelihood relies on because that's what I sell, they will go to someone else. And so I was stuck in this ethical conundrum. Do I want to keep this business going? Because I really feel like everyone's now, the industry exploded after COVID. All of these fly-by-night businesses came into the space. I was the only industry in my geographical area. The only business in my industry in the geographical area. All of a sudden, all these competitors popped up. They made my life really hard. They were very unethical in their business practices. They basically tried to get me out of business. I was drowning, but that business, that mobility business, was my safety net. And I don't think I realized I was being strangled by my own safety net.
Wow.
So I started this Loz Life thing, and I realized.
Did you still have that original Instagram page from when you were doing modeling?
That's still my page.
Excellent. So you were just able to relabel it.
Yes. So once I started pivoting my content through all of this process, I lost a heap of followers over many, many years. Since 2017, when I started really growing my page, I've lost tens of thousands of followers because my content isn't what it was.
Yeah.
If I do post that kind of content, though, I get a massive spike.
Of course you do.
I get a massive spike in engagement. All these new followers come in.
Yeah.
But it just shows me like the algorithm is always preferential towards that kind of content, which I'm very mindful of. So I use it to my advantage.
It's true. Most of my followers will be female, but if I have a photo or a video and a top like this where you can see this,
100%, it's
all men following.
Men over 45.
Men. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, I become really cautious about the content that I post now. It's always going to be in alignment. As my business started scaling and I realized that I wanted to sell it, I started putting a plan in place. And so I used a broker. They sucked. I got run around by another business who made me a lowball offer that was incredibly offensive and it sucked. So I went and found my own buyer. I literally used my skills, I used my network, and I found someone to buy my business. In the meantime, I started scaling my business that I'm currently in, Loz Life, started calling myself the MOJO Mentor, and really starting to pivot that business so it was really aligned with my purpose. And through that process, I ended up rewriting my book. I gave it a new name. I put my story back into it. It's called Get the Fuck Unstuck. I got a new brand.
So in that book, you've written your life. You've written what you wanted.
What got taken out. Yep. Completely different book. It's like 3 times thicker than the first book. It's got a bright yellow cover, which is never the color I was ever going to align myself with. But at the time of choosing my cover design, I had a client who actually used to be a book buyer. And she said to me, if you get a book in this wellness space with a yellow cover, everyone will pick it up.
It's going to stick out.
Yeah, because everyone uses blue and green and pink. And
of course they do. Yeah, the yellow is beautiful.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because last year I sold my mobility business and I fully went all in Loz Life and the MOJO Mentor brand, which is now being rebuilt for next year. And through that process, I've realized I actually became the little girl who was dancing on stage in the bright colored lycra. And earlier this year, I was actually sitting in my office in animal print bike pants and a hot pink crop top with yellow socks. And I found a video of me at 7 years old before I started getting bullied. It was 4 months before we moved. And I was wearing exactly the same color combination. And I'm like, I've come home. I've actually come home to myself. I'm 40. It's taken me that long to come home to myself. And so I realized that by not censoring myself and being incredibly aligned and even saying the occasional F-bomb and sometimes a C-bomb, and not giving a fuck about what people think, I've realized I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
And nobody is.
No, well, I'm a fine wine drunk out of a dog bowl that's got a little bit of shit still in it and maybe a couple of ants. Like, honest to God, I'm the most expensive wine you've ever seen served in that. That's how I describe myself. Because when you show up as you are and you stop giving a fuck, look, my life has got more trauma plot twists in a binge-worthy Netflix series, like as you've just heard.
Yes. So what I was thinking there is when you've got a client and they come to you and they say, woe is me for this reason, you're like, excuse me. No, I'm not saying you say that, but internally you're like, if I can do this and this and this and this,
Well, I see somebody's potential. And I think that, I guess the biggest part of a coach is that your journey is not your client's journey. And I guess what this has provided me with, and I've dealt with so many different emotional challenges. And as I said, I've currently got 2 brain tumors. I've got, they've got names. They're Steve and Sheila. right, and Barry.
Can you
So
feel them? Do they do anything to you?
yes, they do. They fuck me up quite a bit. So the other tumor has come back, but it's different, and I've got a new one on my pineal gland. So my sleep is totally fucked, and it has really affected me earlier this year. It's funny, like 3 years ago in October, I did 31 events in 30 days. This whole year, I've done less than 5 events. I really preserve my time. This year has been all about teaching me boundaries around my health. I had a fecal transplant last year. I literally had someone else's shit put in my gut. Has completely fucked me up, made me incredibly unwell.
It didn't work.
No, I spent $627,000 over 20 years getting myself to this point where I'm not dead and not in a wheelchair. I'm not even kidding, right? I don't have kids. Childless by choice. There's no fucking way I could afford kids, right? Not that I ever wanted kids. But people don't understand, like, the person that they see here, like nothing can hurt me. Like, nothing can actually, like, there is not much I haven't experienced. And I know there's a lot that I will experience, but every experience has been a gift of foresight and insight and hindsight. For growth, right?
Mm.
And so when I come to a client who is experiencing something that I can't possibly understand or be in the presence of, because that's their journey and their story, it allows me to have empathy, not sympathy, but empathy, and to completely understand and put myself in what I could only imagine to be how they feel. And so that's a superpower as a coach, because I have walked the walk. I don't just talk the talk. And unfortunately, what I've learned in the space of coaching, there's a lot of bullshit artists out there who say things that aren't true, who present themselves through smoke and mirrors and are untruthful about what they can do. They put themselves on pedestals and they're not honest. Nothing shits me more than dishonesty. People step outside scopes of practice all the time, but because it's an industry that's highly unregulated, what is the scope of practice for a coach?
Anything goes.
People are like, I'm a health coach. I'm like, what are your actual fucking qualifications? Are you life qualified as well as paper qualified? And I know life qualification doesn't disqualify for you from being a really good practitioner, but I think if you can walk that road with somebody as a mentor and a facilitator of change, it is so powerful. It is so powerful. And when you show up as yourself, completely authentic, completely transparent, I'm an oversharer, right? I have ADHD. That's actually like, I'm TMI all day fucking long.
Same.
Right? But there's a superpower in that. And there's a very powerful thing. And I think more than ever, humanity needs people to show up in their real, true, glorious, fucked up, unfiltered selves, because we don't know now the difference between a synthesized reality and actual reality. There are filters, there are AI, there are all sorts of algorithms now that manipulate what we're exposed to, and people are so consumed by that. I've been talking about AI since the 90s, right? When they're doing Turing tests to try and prove sentience and artificial intelligence. We are fucking there. We are there in 2025
100%.
and beyond. And maybe you're listening to this from the future. You know, maybe I come to you from the past. I don't know. Whenever you're tuning into this episode, but you know, there's never been a more important time in human history for you to be showing up as a human being, not a human doing.
Absolutely.
Right? And to stare reality in the eyes and stare fear and all of the human emotions that AI can't possibly experience, and challenge it and let it create and engineer the life that you desire, because you cannot possibly live an unstoppable and an unbreakable life if you have never been broken.
No, what did I say? No bullshit, guys. What did I say? Listen to this.
No BS.
None.
No BS. No wellness wankery.
Are you a spiritual woman?
I never used to be. I was brought up as an atheist, and I went to an Anglican school and I was exposed to religion for the first time.
I'm not speaking about religion.
I know. I used to confuse religion and spirituality as the same thing. So I never grew up with it, but I learnt about spirituality and understanding that there is a force much greater than us at play all of the time. Brian was a Buddhist, and it introduced me to lots of principles about living and lifestyle that I never knew were possible. When I started going to the gym and talking to those men and started learning about the power of your brain and your thoughts and your emotions and a connectedness to a universal force, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's this woo-woo? Look, I talk about this stuff all the time. I'm a manifester by human design. Honest to God, like
so you practice manifestation?
Oh, yeah. My life is fully 100%. I have vision boards. I have crystals. I use affirmations every day. I have oracle cards.
We are a spiritual person.
Of course I am. Of course I am. But I'm also very evidence-based. And so when it comes to changing people's lives and the actions that they take, 100% evidence-based, because no amount of woo-woo can outdo your actions. No amount of thinking about something and focusing on something no amount of intention can be backed up if there's no action that follows the intention. And I think that's where people get
And
it
you
wrong.
can't sit there and wait for it to happen. You
100%.
need to
Don't wait to be fucking
take the
invited. Go and
actions.
apologize if you
Yes.
overstep the mark. I don't give a fuck, right? But, like putting the intention where focus goes, energy flows. And I'm incredibly gifted at manifesting everything. Like I just literally think about things and it happens.
So, okay, same. Can you tell me what I can do or the listener can do to manifest something? Start small. So some people would say it's a coincidence, but I have the same thing. So I will think about something and then it will happen. But what if you want something on a bigger scale? How do you do it?
You have to think bigger. So if you want Dr. John D. Martini, who's an amazing mentor of mine, and I've interviewed him on my podcast, he says if you want a goal as big as your state, you have to have a vision as big as your country. If you want a goal as big as your country, you have to have a vision that's global. And if you want a goal that's global, you have to have a vision that surpasses all time and space horizons. Right? He's a very, very amazing person, and the way that he thinks about things, it sort of tips you into the space of what's possible. And when you think about the quantum field and all the possibilities of things that can exist without time and space horizons, right? Anything you desire is possible, but where focus goes, energy flows. You have to put the actions in place with the intention behind it. So I use vision boards. Vision boards are very underrated and very powerful.
Is it a whiteboard? Is it a blackboard? What is this?
No, so I actually have, because I'm weird, and I'm very economical and I'm very practical. So I have these big A1 magnetic picture frames, where you can just like open it up, put shit in and put a magnet down. And there's a piece of butcher's paper, and I go on the internet every year and I look up all of the things that I want, and I find visual representations of those things, whether it's a physical representation of a place or a person or an idea in my head that fits. And then I go through, chuck it in a Word document. I literally have a video of this on my YouTube channel of me creating a vision board with my husband. So he and I put these vision boards together, and I just put them in Word, print them all out. Sometimes I use AI to make the image if I can't find it. Don't often have to do that. And then stick it in my room. So I literally get blue tack and stick it up, close the magnet, and it's done. Last year, I didn't update my vision board. It was February. I'm like, why am I feeling so stuck? And I talked to my friend who channels. She's like a spirit guide channeler. And she's like, have you updated your vision board? I'm like, no. Literally updated within a week. Things started to shift. I'm like, oh, fuck, what an idiot.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at ActiveFlex, the Australian-made pain relief gel that helps soothe sore muscles and aching joints. For long-lasting relief, look for ActiveFlex at Chemist Warehouse or search ActiveFlex Gel online. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. If your pain persists, chat with your healthcare professional.
So the thing about vision boards is that people have different strategies and how to use them. And I talk about this one in my video. But my vision board and his vision board are stacked in our room. You can't fucking miss them, right? And whether or not I realize that I'm looking at them or not, they're there. They're the first thing I see when I wake up. They're the last thing I see when I go to sleep. And I sometimes stare at it with intention. I'm like, oh, okay. I literally achieve everything on my vision board. And sometimes it's not exactly as I thought it was. But getting welded to the how is the mistake. We have to be attached to the outcome and the vision is important.
Yeah.
Like literally, I had this vision last year. This is how simple this shit is, right? My husband's a musician. He's 15 years my senior. He has a granddaughter. I'm Gma, to an 8-year-old, right? I've known her since before she was born. They have an amazing life. And he auditioned for this band, and it's like a Lady Gaga and Pink tribute show. And it's really cool. And it's really fun. And there's a lot of couples on stage, and I got really jealous. I'm like, oh, this looks really fun. And anyway, I had this thing on my vision board last year, and it didn't come true because I got sick. I had these brain tumor things. They happened last year and all of this year. But he sort of got into this band this year, and I thought that would be really, really fun. I'm a little bit jealous. And so this opportunity came up with this band where their backup vocalist, I've always sung lead vocals. I'm a lead vocalist, right? Musical thespian. I can act, I can sing, I can dance. And they're like, my husband had mentioned that, Lauren sings. Like, Lauren can sing too. She's quite musical. And I got to know everyone in the band. And a couple of gigs in, they're like, oh, look, our backup vocalist can't make it for a gig. Would you be interested in filling in? I'm like, sure. Learned that great thing, Gaga and Pink.
Yeah.
Two of my favorite female artists already knew all of their songs, knew the lead vocals, didn't know the harmonies or the backup vocals. Here's an old skill set that I pulled out of my ass. Learned 33 songs in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Learned all the harmonies, all the backup vocals. I learned all of the lyrics. Backup vocalists have an incredibly difficult job.
Yeah.
So I've got on stage in this show and it's just me. And I'm like, and it was such a shit show. Like, honestly, like everything that could have gone wrong in this show went wrong. And I'd never done a live show with these people in my life. The sound check was 5 hours. It was 4-hour drive to get there. It was just a shit show. We all got on stage. There was a problem with backing tracks and there was a big gap on stage and there was this problem and like everyone had to fix it and everyone was freezing. I just went out and did this impromptu thing. I'm a professional speaker. I'm great with crowds. I teach group fitness and I can get people engaged. Started singing Happy Birthday and it was heaps of fun. Had a great time and everyone loved it. And yeah, it's great because one of the ladies that runs the band, she's like, that was so fun. And they basically invited me back as now, like officially I got invited to be part of the band.
Wow.
And so we have 2 backup
Was that
vocalists.
on your vision board?
Yes.
I want to be part of the band.
It was just like, but me, I wanted to sing, I wanted to be on stage. You know what I mean? So it was less about the how. What was this going to look like?
Yeah.
And more about what is the vision. And so, you know, I've been going on stage unpaid, getting my chops up with the other backup vocalists. There's been heaps of fun and we've been vibing. But then the manager actually came and saw a show a few weeks ago, loved how different it sounded with an extra backup vocalist. He said, just letting you know that now when we start quoting moving forward for big shows, if I can quote for extra people, you're going to be there as well. And it's just like, I would do it for free because I really love it. But to be paid, again, you know, as somebody that does this professionally, it's just a vision. Like when I wanted to be a professional speaker, just started telling people I was a professional speaker, started charging people for my talks instead of doing it for free. I now, you know, command a very large price to get on stage. Do you know what I mean?
There's nothing you cannot do.
There's nothing I cannot do. You know, if I wanted to do something, I could. You know what I mean?
So can everybody?
Of course they can. The only limit is your mind. I have clients that I work with that have disabilities. Many clients. I work with lots of people. I love working with people with disabilities. I love working with neurodiverse people, people with ASD, people with cerebral palsy. You know, I have friends that are quadriplegics. And some of the shit that some of these people do, it fucking blows my mind because I'm like, I cannot even relate to you right now and the challenges that you have faced on your journey. For them, it's like it's their life journey. And, you know, it's so inspiring because when I can see people like this break through massive barriers and be part of that, help them become agents of change. It shows you that anything's possible. I deliberately expose myself to lots and lots of diverse types of people, which continues to inspire this engine of creativity and inspiration for me. So I think the big thing is your environment and the people that you hang around with have a massive impact on what you believe is possible. And you become the average of the 5 people you hang around with. So if you're hanging around 4 sarcastic, glasses half empty people who don't have a lot going on in their life, you're going to become the 5th person in that culture. But if you hang around people that inspire you, that are on a path that you're on and maybe they're further ahead and they're successful in their own right and they're really high energy to hang around, well, you're going to become the 5th person in that as well. And so that's a big thing I've learned is you've got to protect your boundaries. You've got to show up as yourself. And every time I go to an event, I have a uniform, which is just me wearing bright, ridiculous clothes, you know, having some glary, like Larry earrings. And I have like I always have like a tie on my head that's normally a bit inappropriate. I have earrings that say fuck off. Like, and I'll be wearing, you know, Valentino and Dolce & Gabbana and really expensive high-end fashion because I love that shit. I have really inappropriate earrings and glasses from Temu. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just, that's my vibe.
You're
like,
authentically you.
Yeah, but like
I've
come back to the person I was when I was a kid and it's like.
So do I love it? I'm going to wear it.
Yeah, I look at drag queens and I'm like, I look at the struggle of drag queens and like their stories and their narratives and the things they have to overcome socially and how they lean into these personalities in these magnified personas. And I now have embraced that. And it doesn't mean I don't run in active wear most of the day, but when I get a chance to become that person, nothing can get in your way. And when you live into that authentic version of yourself, it's contagious. People want to be around your energy. And that's how my life is now.
Yeah. So your book, what will you go through in Get the Fuck Unstuck? What are we doing? What are we reading here?
Yeah. So Get the Fuck Unstuck is a BS-free handbook for healthy habits to live an unstoppable life. Right. So in Get the Fuck Unstuck, you follow 2 things. Now, it is fairly anecdotal. but it's also very evidence-based. There are reference materials.
Yeah.
Like I have a fucking reference list at the back because I'm so evidence-based, right? Nothing I say is bullshit. It's like, this is what I did. Don't do what I did. Do this instead. This is why. Here's an activity. Put the book down. QR code. Do the thing. But the principles of the book are based on two concepts that I've created. I have an operating system for your life, and it's called the Healthy Habit Hierarchy. Okay, the Healthy Habit Hierarchy consists of 6 M's. And it's a hierarchy, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have to start at the bottom. Momentum, menu, mindset, movement, mastery, mentorship. Momentum is all about getting really clear in your intentions and your goals and getting a little bit of that momentum going, because momentum breeds momentum.
Take that first step.
100%. Momentum is a renewable source of energy. And when you really, and momentum has to be refined, right? But you have to start there. The next M in the operating system of life is our menu. What are we consuming? Not just physically, but emotionally and energetically. Can we do an audit of the people around us? Can we do an audit of what we eat? Can we drink more water? Can we look at how we breathe? That's menu. Then when we go to mindset, because when you're clear in your intentions and you're fueling yourself effectively and surrounding yourself with the right people, it's a great time to then start looking more at your mindset goals and getting more sharp. Can I set clear and intentional goals? And can I find ways to improve my mindset to set me up for the next levels?
Yeah.
Because we then need all of those 3 things to then be moving with intention. And this is where most people fuck up. When most people want to have a big change in their life and a shift and a transformation, they jump into these overarching big silver bullet types of things. They do 12-week challenges. They go to Tony Robbins. They walk on hot coals. They rah-rah. They download
Do a shake.
Right. Yep. They do these massive, irrational, big, complex
difficult
things, right?
Yep.
And they go to a gym. They join a fucking gym. I work as a PT in a gym. I see it every day. People are like, I'm going to change my life. I join a gym. 60% of people with gym memberships don't go. Gyms are like non-for-profit organizations. They're like charities, honestly. But this is a mistake because they jump too far in the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Okay?
You weren't ready.
Right. And you cannot out-exercise suboptimal mindset, suboptimal menu, or suboptimal momentum.
Yeah.
And so this is a mistake. So by working in a gym with clients, sometimes I redirect people to the bottom of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
Which
we can't
was momentum. Then menu,
then
mindset.
then movement.
Yeah.
Okay. And moving mindfully in ways that feel good and thinking about how you want to be moving 30, 40, 50, 100 years from now and starting to do those things now. Right? I know that when I'm 80, 90 years old, I still want to be doing physically active things. I got to think about that. I'm 40, you know, I'm in the space of perimenopause. I've got to think about what's my bone density like? What's my mobility like? Lifting heavy things is
Weights
important.
Is perfect for you.
100%. But being multidisciplinary, movement consists of things like agility, mobility, strength, endurance, balance, you know, flexibility. All of those things actually matter. And you've got to be very diverse. In the mobility space, I sold bottom wipers every single day and elastic shoelaces because people could not reach their ass or touch their toes and tie up their shoes. Like, I'm not kidding. So movement is higher up the hierarchy. Then we move to mastery. And mastery is all about learning how to do all of those things below you in a way that pivots and matches and works with your life. Become a master of those things and realize when you start to get stuck, where in the hierarchy am I actually stuck? And then above mastery sits mentorship, because when you finally ascend to the level of master of your life, you'll want to pay it forward to other people and you'll want to bring other people under your wing, because we want to create and cultivate collective consciousness. We want to surround ourselves because a rising tide lifts our ship. So that's the healthy habit hierarchy. It is a mouthful, right? But that's the premise of the book. But in the book, inside of that, and that's what the first book was based on, is another concept called the handbrake habits. Now, these are everyday things that act as handbrakes in our life. And the handbrake habits are weaved through the hierarchy, because a hierarchy is a lifelong operating system. And the handbrake habits are the daily habits that we actually already do.
So like, I can't be bothered, or I'm just going to have a Mars bar. What are we talking?
So handbrake habits consist of 5 things.
Yep.
Eating, breathing, sleep, movement, and hydration.
Yep.
Okay. So these are the 5 habits that all of us have. We all eat, we all breathe, we all sleep, we all move, and we all have to have some sort of hydration. But we all do them suboptimally. And so they act as handbrakes in our life. Right? Now, you can drive a car with the fucking handbrakes on. I've done it. What does it do?
You're going really slow and it breaks the car.
Literally. It groans, it moans, it moves.
Yeah.
It doesn't move very far, very fast, and it costs a lot to fix when it breaks.
Yeah.
Right? Humans are like cars. And we're moving but barely.
Did that just come to you one day?
Yes. Existing, not living. Some of my mentors helped me develop that, because I was just talking about these things, and I had an amazing mentor of mine and a good friend, and he's like, this is what you talk about. And I gave it a name. This is my creative brain, right? And so the thing about handbrakes is that momentum helps us unlock. So if we can just unlock one of the handbrakes, we can then get momentum. And it helps to unlock the others, because as we get momentum, the car starts to move and it's easier to unlock the others. So, and the thing about that handbrake habits is that they're interlinked. They're all interlinked. And if you unlock one, you'll start unlocking more. Example, let's say we start to focus more about what food we put in our body, specifically food, okay, what we eat. I guarantee you, if you ate optimally, if you ate the protein that you needed and the calories that you needed and the micronutrients that you needed, you would have more energy to move,
Yeah.
right? If you have more energy to move because you're eating well, you're probably going to sleep better. You're probably now going to probably drink more water as a consequence of that. And probably if we underpin that with breathing and taught you how to breathe effectively, you've just now unlocked all of these handbrakes. And so this is how I get people to fuck unstuck, right? Those two frameworks are now part of something that gets rolled out next year called the MOJO method. And the MOJO method helps people using those two systems of understanding, lifelong and daily, because we have to connect the two. You can't have this big vision of the future and not be taking action today. The thing about handbrake habits is you're actually doing all those things already. How can I make each of those things so fucking ridiculously easy you'd feel stupid doing it? I actually take the BS out of everything. I'm not going to tell you to ice bath and journal and sauna and run a fucking marathon with a 10-kilo pack on your back and do affirmations and go to Tony Robbins and on anything that is big. I only use him as an example because he's the one that everyone knows about. I'm going to literally tell you, dude, you are so under eating protein right now. If I did an analysis of everything you ate in a day, you probably need 120 grams of protein. You are eating 40.
Yeah.
If all you did was increase your protein to just 80, okay, and I'm going to give you every single simple way that you can do that. It's so easy, you'd feel stupid not doing it. And also at the same time, you're going to drink more water. You're going to already feel good. You're going to lose weight. Your body's going to be vibrant better. And all of those other handbrakes will start to unlock. But I can do that because I'm qualified, right? Stepping outside scope, right? Personal trainers can't talk to people about nutrition. They're not qualified. I can. I'm a nutritional advisor, soon to be accredited as a nutritionist, right? I have the ability to take very complex ideas and break them down into simple things. IT degree. IT and programming, the skill that I learned all those years ago, has helped me so much. Because when you program, it's all about logic and syntax. If that, then this. All solutions orientated, making those tags at high school for people's bags because people go picking up the wrong ones. Solving people's problems. It's a skill that I've always had. And I think now that I'm so aligned, it all just flows. And so these ideas come to me.
So there's two things. There's nothing you cannot do.
No.
And I'm talking
Literally,
about you right now.
Literally, nothing I can't do.
And also, you were put on this earth for a reason.
I've helped thousands of people. And I've got thousands more that are, like, I only just started
You
this.
are a genius.
Thank you. But I don't, like, I'm going to take that as a compliment.
And the reason I asked you about your spirituality, I had a guest on the show a month ago who are reminding me of Phil Golding, and I actually went and saw him myself. Now, he's a transpersonal psychotherapist. Now, he said that in everybody's life journey, they're here for a purpose. Right? So whether you realize it or not, whether you are transcended enough to understand and realize why you're here, you made that decision before you came.
Yeah, I already know that. Yeah.
Right.
I understand the stuff you're talking about. I've read a lot about this stuff.
Telling them too.
Yep.
Yeah. So for your life journey.
Yes. Got it.
Your life has been so many different paths, so many blockages, so much bloody bombs blowing up for you. And you just keep stepping them and you keep stepping them. But not only are you getting by them, but you're healing everybody around you. You're healing everybody that's reading that book. You're healing me sitting talking to me now. Do you know how many times, or do you know how hard it's been for me not to cut you off and just tell you my story of everything you've just gone through?
Oh, I bet. Because
like
Ubuntu, right? What's in you is in me. It's an African term, and what's in me is in with you. And when we share, this is where oversharing is great. It will give somebody a permission slip.
Yeah.
To feel seen and heard, and maybe share something that maybe they have never been able to share because there hasn't been the time, the space, the place, or the face to share that with. And this is the power of narrative, and this is the power of showing up authentically and owning the challenge, the trauma, the pain, the suffering, the darkness. Because as you said, like, I'm very aware now that my purpose is through pain. My purpose is to experience pain and suffering and turn it around and learn and squint for the fucking silver lining, put the glasses on
Yeah.
and squint for it, because that has enabled me to actually help so many people and change. And not having kids means that I can help more people as adults and manage a family of adults
So we are
who are
all your
healing.
children, Loz.
Literally, I had this conversation with a client this morning who has 4 children. And I said, I wouldn't be able to do this kind of work if that was the choice that I had made. And the reality is that we're all carrying something, right? I mean, yours might be pain. It might be suffering. It might be fear. It might be grief. It might be a grief case the size of the national debt that you are hauling day in and day out of your life every single day, but it's yours to carry, right? It's yours to carry.
Mhm.
But you get to choose how heavy that grief case will be. And I always say that. We get to choose how heavy the load will be.
Look at that grief case. You've just coined so many really amazing terms.
This is my brain.
That literally makes sense to me.
This is what comes to me when I meditate.
So we meditate as well.
Yes. I teach meditation. I'm a meditation instructor.
And when you, in your day, when are you meditating?
In the morning. I also meditate during the day. So I just have moments. I literally, and meditation isn't sitting atop a lofty hill in the lotus pose with a gentle breeze coming across
What
your
is it?
face and an eagle soaring and reaching nirvana. It's just, it's empty fullness and full emptiness all at once. It's focusing on one thing.
Is it when you're driving? Is it when you're at home? Is it lying
Definitely
on the floor?
not when I'm driving.
Okay.
But I can be supremely focused and supremely like still. I listen to nothing in the car sometimes, or I listen to podcasts,
Yeah.
or listen to music. A lot of the time I just have nothing and I just, I let things download. A lot of my meditation happens. I have a morning ritual and I do drink coffee because I enjoy coffee, and I have a coffee in my chair, in my lounge room, in the sun, or sometimes out in the sun, depends on the day. Or if I've got vitamin A on, I definitely won't go in the sun. I just have mindful moments and I notice the breeze in the trees, and I force myself into situations of stillness. I don't do stillness well, but I see an acupuncturist every week and I am forced face down onto a table with needles in my back, or I have a massage and I make sure everyone shut the fuck up. I don't want to talk to you. Or I do a float in a float tank. My book title came to me in a float tank.
Can you float?
Have you not been in a float tank?
I can't float.
Oh,
I am boinging around that little pool
that's funny.
like you would not believe. I will have it outstretched, my imagine
Yeah.
legs split, arms
You have to
split,
relax. You have to relax.
and boinging. Like I can't float. As in,
you will not stay still.
listeners, I am not sinking to the
You
bottom of
will
the
move.
water.
You will
I'm
move
saying
around.
I cannot lie my body still and not move.
Yeah, it is very difficult, but meditation isn't meant to be easy.
Yeah.
Meditation is supposed to suck.
Yeah.
And you have to sit in the suckage. A guy called Mark Manson. Yeah, Mark Manson, who wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and another book called Everything is Fucked, and it's called A Story About Hope. It's an amazing book. It's his second book. It is so poignant, and he talks about this. He actually has a photo in his book, which I have printed and blown up and put on my wall. It's very confronting. And there was a story in the 70s, a protest in Vietnam of peace, and a bunch of monks hopped out of the car out the front of the embassy, and one monk sat down in the lotus position, another monk, and he covered himself in petrol, and then, so another monk covered him in petrol, and he set himself alive, and he died alive meditating. He didn't move. And I have a photo that's from the book of a burning monk who was dying, and he literally just meditated through his own death. It is the most, I have goosebumps. It's the most powerful thing I've ever seen. It's so fucking full on. And that is like beneath my vision board. It's this big. It's a huge photo of a burning monk. It's a very famous picture taken in the 70s. And that is meditation. That is what I've learned about meditation. It's not emptying your mind, but it's a sense of full emptiness and empty fullness all at once. And this is what I learned through Buddhism and practicing Buddhism, is that we have these constructs in our brains as Western people about what meditation is supposed to be, because we've been conditioned to think that it has to be this elusive thing. You never get to a state unless you are that monk. I mean, that is complete self-actualization. That is a level that most of us will never, ever ascend to. But when I meditate, it's about having complete clarity and spaciousness to allow the things to download. Because when you're in touch with source energy, whatever you call that, if it's God, if it's universal energy, I'm not religious, but I definitely know there's something that's bigger than this.
Phil Golding will tell you it's your awareness.
Yeah.
So that is what it is.
It's an awareness. It's awareness.
You have an awareness, and then there's ascending levels.
Yes. Yes.
And that comes with you to each life.
Yeah,
that's
and I'm on my last life. I
Yeah.
know
Oh.
I've hit my last life. I've been here so many times. Like, I totally know, like, I'm where I need to be.
Have you had memories from past?
Yes,
How many?
a few.
Throughout your whole life or recently?
No, I think probably when I started doing past life regression therapy, which I
Wow.
did for a little bit. I've met my current husband in many, many lives.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, that's like another conversation
Yeah.
for another time.
Yeah.
But I'm into all woo-woo, right? But I'm still very evidence-based because I realize, like, you got to try lots of things, but I'm very aware that, like, the lessons I'm learning here, like, they're lessons that have had to be learnt real hard and real fast, because I believe I'm on the last life, and wherever I go from here, wherever I ascend to, whatever that level of consciousness,
You'll be MOJO mentoring there.
yeah, I'll just be MOJO. I'll just be everywhere,
You will be MOJO.
right? I'll be the MOJO.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So,
Loz
like,
is MOJO.
I'm so aware of this in myself,
Yeah.
and people go, "Oh, she's fucking crazy." Like, it's just an understanding of who I am and what I'm able to do, and nothing can hurt me. And even when people say things to me, it's just like, "Oh, okay, like, cool, like, that's your shit." Like,
Are
nobody
you
can
talking
offend
about
me.
in your real life, or you're talking comments online? What are you
Oh,
talking?
just anything, like,
Any negativity.
yeah,
People do like to cut people down.
I didn't give a fuck.
Absolutely.
I had a story
I
written
don't
about me on
either.
Daily Mail, which had nothing to do with any of the comments. It was literally about me taking NAD, which is a supplement, and I was a story about me taking NAD for anti-aging and feeling good. And there was a before shot and an after shot. And the before shot, I had like an eye infection. I was very chronically unwell. And then the after shot, it was my sister's wedding.
Fake.
And people literally, all they commented on was how I looked. I had over 300 comments. Nothing was about the article. And people were like, she's a fucking fake bitch. Look at those lips. Look at those eyebrows. Oh, maybe she got brain tumors because she has so much Botox. Like, I was like, I just laughed. I laughed. I did a whole post on this. And it was so funny because it's just like, you can't change people. You just got to live your best life, stick to your lane, show up for yourself, show up for the people that matter, and find the thing that lights you up. And that's it.
Take that, listeners. That is perfect. And I'm like you. I don't care.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't care what people think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But people do like to bring you down pegs, for sure.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And that's like, just realize that's human nature.
And that's also their journey.
Yeah, that's
They'll
right.
be learning.
You don't know where they are.
No.
You don't know what their pain is. You don't know what their grief case is.
Yeah.
You don't know. You know?
Did you coin that, grief case?
No, I heard that somewhere.
It's brilliant.
I hear all these things and then I bring them all together.
I love that. Loz, thank you so much. Honestly, I think I could sit here and just talk with you all day, but actually not talk with you all day because I have been so reserved. I wanted to talk to you about the dancing in your outfit when you were 7. I wanted to talk about that photo when you took your shoelaces. I wanted to talk to you, oh my God, so many times.
It's okay.
But you are inspiring. You're amazing. And I thank you so much for writing that book. I am going to inhale that book.
And get the audiobook because then you actually hear me talk. And you have to slow it down.
Or you even read it.
Yeah. Well, you know how most books you have to put on like 2 times speed because it's
Yeah.
so fucking draining. You have to throttle mine back to like quarter speed because
Okay.
clearly I speak at the speed of ADHD. Right.
God, you're amazing.
But
Thank
so are you.
you.
And thank you for holding space. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor and a pleasure to share.
Oh, look, with the busy life you lead, giving me this hour has been just incredible.
That's
Thank
what
you.
we do.
Thank
Sharing means a lot.
Man,
It's all right. It's life, right?
you're an amazing woman.
But we all are. We all have our thing, right? Just some of us have more complicated journeys than other people.
I even was thinking.
I really need to wee.
Thanks for listening to Once Upon a Real Life with Belle. This episode was brought to you by ActiveFlex. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a comment. And if you love this episode, go back and check out our previous conversations. There are so many stories you won't want to miss. Thanks again for listening.